Hi everyone, there is Mijus from Asymptotes, and in this video we'll create this cool jumper main game in Unity. So we have there one simple main menu scene, and we see that we have there play button, reset button, exit button, and these are three buttons that we will have there in the main menu scene. And if you notice, we also have there a high score, and actually this reset is the resetting for our high score. So when we click here reset button, we see that we resetted our high score, and then we can proceed with our game. So when I go here and click the play button, and now we see that we have there one simple character, we have a pause button, score system, and high score system. And as you see, the purpose in this game will be just to avoid these spawning obstacles, and actually the main part here is that our player every frame gets faster and faster. So you see now we kick one of our obstacle, and now we are bringing back in the main menu scene, and now our high score is 8, and we can reset this high score. But I want to play one more time in order to show you third scene in this game that is connected with these two. And yeah, now actually, as I said, the purpose in this game will be to avoid these obstacles, and our player getting faster and faster every frame, as you can notice. So why I played the game, and as long as we play this game, our player gets faster and faster. So notice that now when I kick here in this obstacle, now we see that we are getting every 2 times we play this game, we are getting this quiz scene. And in this quiz scene, actually we need to click on the correct answer of this tree, and this is actually the mathematical question. So the correct answer here is this 10.5, but these two, if we for example click on the wrong answer on the 76 or on the 12, we are bringing back to the main menu scene. But if we click on the correct answer, we are going directly in the gameplay scene. So when I click here, yeah, we are directly now in the gameplay scene, and that is that for our game. We can also pause this game here and continue in this game by again clicking here on the pause. And yeah guys, that is that for this game, and we'll create in this tutorial this awesome game. So stay tuned for that guys. Hi everyone, there is Mijus from Asymptotes, and as I said, we'll create this jumper awesome game now in this tutorial. So now we are currently in the main menu scene, and you see actually, so I'm going here in these assets, and you see, and all of this you'll get with the link in the description as always. So we have there audios for our game, that is the impact audio when we kick one of our obstacles, jump audio when we jump, and score when we score 1 point. And then we also imported these fonts for our here cute words here, and then we imported these pictures, that is our background here, that is character and environment. Character animation, we have idle, jump, and run animation. We will play this animation as you know from the preview of the game, and yeah, everything is cool. And also these prefabs I prepared for you, so I imported here this menu canvas just in this main menu scene. So I just imported that. So far, so when we go in this main menu canvas, we see that we have there a play button, that is simply button right here, and we need to add a function to that button, but that later on. We also see that we a little bit optimize here our button to have a normal color, highlighted color, pressed color, and so on and so forth. You probably know what does this mean. So for example, pressed color is the color when we press that button, selected color when we just select that button, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is our play button. We also have our reset button, that is the very same button like our play button, and exit button that will not have any function attached on this exit button, because we can test this exit button just when we for example build this game for like a real app, and for that we will not code this exit button in this tutorial. Game name is this jumper main here, and you see that the font is orange juice. And yeah, that is the font that we imported, as I said in the beginning of this tutorial. Text high score, so this is the high score when we play this game. This text high score will be activated here, and you will see that high score, but we will provide that not here in the Unity editor as you see, but we will provide that in the code in the Visual Studio when we're going to later on program these scripts. Okay, and last one button here, or actually this button is extra button, and we are going to remove this button. So just just let's see. Yeah, this is actually the extra button. We do not need this button, we need just a display button. So we had here two play buttons, I don't know why, but anyway, let's now code here something. So I will go back here in our main menu scene. So I will simply go here in the scenes. This is going to be main menu scene. I named this gameplay, but this is the main menu scene. So like this, reload this scene, and yeah, this is going to be our scene. And now I will go here in the prefabs, and I need to drag and drop this menu canvas here. So I will simply drag and drop this menu canvas. And now when I go here, so this is our canvas, when I go here, we see that for the render mode we do not have attached our main camera. So we are going to change this to the screen space camera and then attach our main camera in order to this canvas be on the area of our camera. Now we are done with that. So now we are done with this positioning this canvas, or actually, and now we are simply going here in our scripts folder that we are created also here in the assets. And first script in this scripts folder will be just for our main menu scene, and that is going to be main menu controller. So main menu controller like this, and now we are ready to open up this script in our Visual Studio. And now once we are in our script, we will for now just create one method, and that's going to be for our play button. So we are going to remove the start and update method because we don't need these methods currently, I think, but we need, as I said, to code our play button. So we'll simply pass here play button function, and then we are going to actually create the behavior. When we click the play button, we need to transfer in the gameplay scene, of course. So for that, we are going here in the usings and use Unity engine.scene management library in order to we can transfer as to some other scene. And for that we are going to use here scene manager and then load scene, and in which scene we want to go. If we click the play button, that is of course our gameplay scene that we have not created yet, but later on we'll create that scene. And that is so far done that for this main menu controller script. And now we are going here in the hierarchy and create a new game object, which is going to be main menu controller. So this is going to hold our main menu controller script. We are going to of course reset the transform here and going here in the add component and search for our main menu controller script that we have just created. Then we need to go here in the file and then build settings, and in that build settings we need to attach our scenes, where we want to go and where we are currently at, and so on and so forth. So every scene we need to attach here in the scenes and build. So if you don't see here main menu scene, simply drag and drop our main menu scene from the scenes, or you can simply click here on add open scenes, and this will add our current scene where we are currently at. Okay, that is so far that for this. So when we go now here in the main menu canvas, we are going here in the play button, and we see that here on click event, if you don't see this, there are event for this on click. If you don't see there some events, then simply click this small plus sign and you will add some event. And we see here this empty slot. For that we need to drag and drop this main menu controller game object, because this game object hold our main menu controller script, and for that we need to attach this on this on click event. Then we are going here where it says no function main menu controller. Now we see and play button. And why we see here play button? Because we marked this play button as a public. Now our play button had this public modifier, and for that this is visible in our main menu controller event. And for that, don't miss this. So don't pass here just a void or private, because this play button needs to be marked as a public modifier. And that is that so far for this. So now everything will work, but as I said, we cannot yet test this play button because we don't have our gameplay scene. And for that, when we click now play button, we are going nowhere. And for that we need to create our scene. So we are going here in the scenes folder, and we are going to add a new scene. So I will go here in the create and searching for the scene, and there is our scene. We are going to name this scene, of course, gameplay, like we name here in the hard coding. So notice there we need to, if we want to transfer us to that scene, we need to pass exactly name that we passed here in the Unity editor. So exactly name like we pass here, for example, for this gameplay scene. Now everything is fine for this main menu scene. We prepared everything because we had there a prefab. I present to you this prefab, this menu canvas, these buttons, these texts and so on and so forth. We just created here a main menu controller and attach our script on that. So now in order to we can transfer us to this gameplay scene, we are now going to test out this behavior and see this in action. So I will save this scene and go here and play this game in order to test our play button finally. Now we are in our main menu scene, and when I go here and click the play button, nothing happens. Why? I don't know. We are going here in the play button one more time and just to see what is wrong with this. So I don't know what is really wrong with this, so we need to fix this. And guys, I found what is problem with this. We created main menu canvas, we imported actually that canvas, but we anywhere imported here in the hierarchy our event system. So I will go here, right click, go to the UI and searching for the event system, which is here on the bottom. So every canvas actually needs to have this event system near him, because our canvas cannot work without this event system. So that is one simple rule here in the game development. So now I hope everything will work. So I will once again go here and play our game. So now when I go here and click the play button, again our play button don't work. And guys, I again spotted the problem. So the problem actually was that we deleted here on the first time, when we first time imported this menu canvas, we deleted there a button that was here in the bottom, and for that we need to go back here in the prefabs. So I'll one more time go here in the prefabs, open this main menu canvas, and now when we go here in the play, or actually yeah, we deleted that from the prefab, so I will one more time import that in the scene. And now I quickly imported this one more time, and now when we go here, now we had that button, and this actually button that we deleted by some great mistake on the beginning. This is actually the detection for this play button, and I hope that this is the detection for other buttons, but that doesn't matter right now. Now we have the detection for this play button, and we can now, I hope, test out this play button. So everything is attached. Now when we go here in the build settings, we see if we want to go in the gameplay scene, as I said on the beginning, we need to import that scene here in the scene build. So I will go here in the scenes. So I'll go in the scenes and simply drag and drop this gameplay, because we make transition between these two scenes. In order to this work, do this, otherwise this will not work. And also before testing, don't forget to go here in this detection for our play button, and again, so like exactly for our play button, we need to also attach their main menu controller, because when we go now here in the main menu controller, we need to attach also this play button on this detection of our play button. And now everything will work, I hope guys. So now test this out one more time. And now when we go here and click the play button, now we are transferred here in the gameplay scene. So you see here where I'm pointing with my mouse, there is a gameplay, and we transferred ourselves in this gameplay awesome scene. And now guys, we coded everything so far here for our main menu scene. Later on we'll bring back and code these other behaviors for the reset button, high score, and so on and so forth. But for now, this is so far good. Okay, now we are going here in the gameplay scene. So we will save our main menu scene, and now we are going to develop this gameplay scene. So I will go here back to our assets and then to the prefabs, and then I will try to drag and drop this BG and ground here in the scene, so you see how nice our background is. And when we go here and maximize this, we see that we have there some grounds. So actually, yeah, this is the grounds, and for that I named this prefab BG and the grounds like this. Okay guys, now when we go here in our BG and ground, we see that these have of course box collider, because yeah, where is our box collider? I will try to disable this, and box collider is actually all around our BG and grounds. And we also have the rigid body 2D, but we put our gravity scale to the 0, because we don't want our gravity affect our background and our ground. And that is so far for our BG and the ground. So now I will go here and also drag and drop and import in our scene our player, our main player here, Jumper Man. So you see how cool this dude is. And yeah, this is going to be our player right here. And we also see that we have some missing scripts here. We have audio source, but for now we are going to turn this off because I don't want to play the audio when I recording this, because that audio is very high on the volume. And also we see that we have there a circle collider 2D rigid body, but for now our gravity of course affect our player. And that is that, guys, for our player. We are going now to create the player script or gameplay script, and we are going to attach our player script on the player and the gameplay script on our gameplay controller. So I will go here in the hierarchy, and like for our main menu scene, for this scene it will going to be gameplay controller like this. We are going to reset the transform and going back here in our script. So here I will going to create a main menu, or actually gameplay controller script, so excuse me. And also another scene that we will have in this gameplay scene, or actually another script, excuse me, I made a mistake in spelling. So another script that we'll have in this scene is definitely a character controller. So we are going to have this, there are two scripts for our gameplay scene, and that is very cool. So first script that we need to code here, it is going to be our gameplay controller, but before that we need to import also in this scene a new thing. So I will go back to our prefabs, and yeah, we actually need to find a gameplay canvas. I forgot to import that, and before coding we need to import this. So the same thing like for our main menu canvas, we are going to here pass screen space camera and attach our main camera in order to our canvas going to be on the area of our main camera. So now I will present to you what we have in this canvas. So when we a little bit zoom in, we see that we have there pause button, score counter text, and high score counter text. So and that is that also here in the hierarchy logically. So we have there a text for our score button pause. So this is one simple button that will simply pause our game, and when we again click on this pause button, we'll make that we continue our game. And of course high score text, that is put it to be 0 on the default, and that is simply our gameplay canvas. And I think, and yeah, we also need to import along with this canvas this road for our player. So when I go here and I will try to a little bit position our player here nicely. So our road is actually this simple edge collider 2D, that is going to be the road for our player. So because now you see this collider, and now I'm not sure does you see this collider, because our background and our ground is also have the green color, but I will position this near our player in order to our player can land on this road and can actually travel in this road, can stand in this road, and so on and so forth. So run, jumping, and other things that our player will do in this game. So we also imported this road, and I think we imported everything that we needed to import here in the gameplay scene. Now we are ready to code here these behaviors out. So I'll go here back to our scripts, and as I said, first script that we'll code, it is going to be our gameplay controller. So simply open it up in our Visual Studio. So once we are in our gameplay controller script, now we are going to start this with creating a variable. So first variable will be a public game object, and this is going to be background 1. Second variable will be of course again public game object, and then this is going to be background 2. And then third game object will again going to be public game object, but this time this is going to be an obstacle that we need to avoid in our gameplay. And then we need to create, but now private game object variable. So private game object, and this is going to be actually the array of our variables, excuse me. So this is going to be array of game objects, and then this is going to be our obstacles. So but with this S, and I deliberately pass here a S, capital S, because in order to know that this is actually the plural and not singular. So don't make a mistake there. We have the plural, we have the singular obstacle, and we have their obstacles, that is actually the plural, and that is actually the array. Okay, that is that for our obstacles. Now we are going back here. Now we are going down here, and then we are going to create rigid body, and then this is going to be my body. So first variable will be my body 1, and then second variable will be my body 2. So not like this, I made a mistake. This is going to be my body 2, and then third variable will be physics obstacle. So this is going to be 3 rigid body variables, my body 1, my body 2, and physics obstacle. And then second variable will now be public float. This time this is going to be simply speed, but speed with capital S this time, because we will have the speed as an argument second. And then this is going to have a default value, which is going to be minus 3f. Okay, now again private variable, which is going to be bg length. So this is actually the length of our bg length. It is going to be 0 by default. And then again private variable, which is going to be float, and which is going to be obstacle change time. And you will see later for what we are going to use this variable. So this is obstacle change time, which is going to have 0 again as a value as default. Okay, now again public integer variable. So this is going to be number of obstacles, and we are going to pass here simply name number of obstacles. So and this is going to be 5 by default. And then we are going to create one new integer variable, which is going to be the counter. So this is going to have 0 as a by default value. And then last variable in this script, which is going it is going to be boolean variable, which will have name pause, and which is going to be false by default. And this is our variables that we will have in this gameplay controller script. And now in the start method, we are going to first of all take the reference from and initialize our variables. So take the reference for our first rigid body variables. So my body 1, it is going to be equal by bg1. So this is actually the rigid body of our bg.get component, and then rigid body 2d. So rigid body 2d in these angular brackets, and we are done with that. So I will simply copy and paste this line of code, and the same thing for our my body 2 and for the bg2 actually rigid body variables. So this is going to be the same line of code. And then we are going to take the reference for our obstacles, but this time obstacles array. So this is going to be equal by new game object. So new game object, and now in the parentheses, now in this regular parentheses, but in this square parentheses, we are going to pass here number. So number, and you can imagine number of obstacles, because this is the array variable. And then we are going down now, and we are going to also take the reference for our bg length. So this is this is going to be equal by bg1 rigid body variable dot get component, and then in the parent or in these angular brackets we are going to pass box collider 2d instead of rigid body this time. So because we are taking the reference for our length of our bg, and this time this is going to be the bg1 box collider. So then we are going to open these parentheses dot size. So not this one, but dot size dot x, like this, and this is going to be the length of our bg. And down below now actually we are going to make now a spawner. So actually we are going to set up our spawner for spawning our obstacles in our game. So we are going to open there a for loop. So we'll simply open the for loop. We are going to create integer I variable, which is going to have a 0 like a default, and then we are going to check as long as this I is less than our obstacles array. So our obstacles array dot length, as long as this I is less than our obstacles dot length, we are going to pass there a semicolon. We are going to increase our I variable by 1. So I made a mistake here. So I by 1, and now we are done with our for loop. And in our for loop we are going to pass our obstacles array and then I in the as an index. So that means we are taking all of our obstacles, all of our array, all of our elements that we have in that array. So obstacles is equal to instantiate. So instantiate function, and in that function we see that we have our 3 arguments. So when we point with our mouse, we have actually the object original. So what we want to instantiate, this is our obstacle, and then where we want to instantiate that, we want to instantiate that on the new vector tree. So new vector tree, pass here that function, and then for the x-axis it is going to be -20, and for the y-axis it is again going to be -20, believe me or not. And then for the third parameter we are going to pass quaternion.identity. That means that we do not want any rotation for our instantiated game object. So now when we instantiate our obstacle in the position that we have specified here in this vector, and we do not want any rotation for that game object, we are going to instantiate that obstacle just like we specified here in these parentheses, all of our obstacles, because we store that in this obstacles array. Then second line of code will be our physic obstacle. So actually we'll pass here physic obstacle, and this is going to be equal to our obstacles again. So obstacles, and then I one more time in the square brackets, and then this is going to be add a component, and in the parentheses we are going to pass here rigid body 2D. So rigid body 2D, but as I said, this is going to be in the angular brackets, I think, now in these regular brackets. So simply pass here angular brackets, parentheses on the end, and we are also done with this. So now third line of code will be our physic obstacle. So now like that, but physic obstacle, and then dot gravity scale dot is equal to 0. So we put it our obstacle to have the gravity 0. So now we transfer that. Now our obstacle will have the gravity of 0, or actually our gravity won't affect our obstacle anymore because it is put it to the 0. And then last piece of code here, it is going to be again for our physic obstacle. So physic obstacle dot velocity, we are going to provide the velocity for our physic obstacle, and because our player is moving right, we are going to make that our obstacles moving left to face our player. So we are going simply to pass here new vector 2. So this time it is going to be new vector 2, and in the parentheses we are going to pass this speed that actually have the variable value of -3, and that is moving left. And for the y-axis, we do not want to move our player on the our obstacle, excuse me, on the y-axis, just on the x-axis in the left direction. And that is that for our spawning our obstacle. Now we are going here in the update method, and in our update method we are going to open this if statement, and in that if statement we are going to pass if bg1 actually dot transform dot position dot x. So if this bg on the x-axis is less than or equal to our minus bg length, so I simply pass here minus and then bg length, then we are going to do the next. We are going to down here and use our bg1 one more time. So where is the, yeah, there is a bg1 dot transform dot position, and then this is going to be plus equal to new vector 2. So we are now going to update our position of our bg1, so vector 2, and then in the parentheses bg length. So where, yeah, there is a bg length. This is going to be multiplied with the 2, and for the y-axis we will leave this as a 0. And that is that. So I think why we get here an error, or actually guys, I made a mistake there. There needs to be a vector 3 instead of vector 2. So we are going to copy this if statement and paste it down here, because we will have the exactly same thing for our bg2. So we'll simply change here for the from the 1 to the 2, so, and also here. So bg2.transform.position.x, if this is less than or equal to minus bg length, but I think we need, yeah, or no, this is, yeah, this is the same if statement. So like for our bg1 there will be the same if statement, and if this is true we are going to pass here that we want to move our bg.transform.position. So this is the current position of our background 2. We are going to move that or increase that by this vector that we have specified here in the parentheses. So actually, as I said here in this piece of code, we just updated the position of our bgs. So we are moving forward with our player, and we want our bgs follow our player in that directions, and we are not going to make here a following camera effect. Instead we making this, we making that we want to update the position of our background 1 and background 2, and that is that for this piece of code here. Now we are going down, we are going to pass here obstacle change, so obstacle change time, and this is going to be also increased. So I will simply pass here plus equals to time dot delta time. Like this variable is also going to be increased, and then we are going to create a new float variable. So this time this is going to be obstacle, so obstacle and then emergence time. So emergence time like this, and I think I spell right, and I don't spell right, emergence here. And actually this variable will have a tree like default value right here. So this is the new variable just for this update method. And now we are going to again open this if statement, and in that if statement we are going to pass here obstacle change time variable if this is greater than our obstacle emergence time variable. So there is our new variable. If this is true, we are going to bring that back to obstacle change time to be now 0, and then second line of code will be our obstacles, and then this is our array, and in the square brackets we are going to pass our counter float variable that is put it to 0 by default. So counter.transform.position, and it's going to be stored in our vector. There is a vector 3 instead of 2, so I almost pass here 2, but there is a vector 3. So for the x-axis it will be 10, for the y-axis -3, so minus 3.4f there will be for the y-axis, and that is that for this piece of code. And we are going to increase our counter variable by 1 in this case. And then in this if statement we are going to create a new if statement and check if our counter, so counter and then greater than or equal to obstacles.length. So what will happen if our counter that we increased here in this first if statement, if this is greater or equal of our obstacles length, so of our obstacles element that we have there in that array. What will happen? We are going to bring that back in the counter. We are going to bring our counter variable to the 0 simply. So that is that also for our update method. So I think everything is understandable so far to you, but I will explain one more time. So there we just updated our BG1 and BG2 positions because we are not going to make their following camera effect. And then this here piece of code is actually for our spawner that we have created right here in the start method. So actually we updated our spawner, we passed that we want to spawn our obstacles. So we here just passing that we want to instantiate our obstacles or actually distance our obstacle one between other here in these positions. So in the 10 for the x-axis, in the -3.4 for the y-axis, and that will be that. So you see that we use here our obstacle current position of our obstacles, and because we're checking here if our obstacle change time, and when we point with this we see that this is 0 by default if this is greater of our tree because this variable here obstacle emergence time have the tree as a default. If our obstacle change time go above of the tree, this will happen. So this will happen. We are going to one more time pass here that obstacle change is now back to the 0. We are going to distance our obstacles, all of our obstacles one between other, and then increase this counter variable. And if this counter variable is enough increased of this obstacles.length, so go greater of this length variable or equal to, we are going to also bring that back to the 0 one more time. And that was that for this update method. Now we are going to create a new method, and this time this is going to be game over method. So we are simply going to pass here game over like this, open these curly brackets, and this is going to be the method when we finish our game and when we died actually. So we are going to open there a for loop, and in that for loop we are again going to create integer I variable and check as long as this I variable is less than of our obstacles.length, so length of our obstacles, then we are going to pass here semicolon. We are going to of course increase this I variable by 1, open the curly brackets, and then in this for loop we are going to again use our obstacles, and in the square brackets we are going to pass I. So that means we are going to use all of our obstacles, and then .get component, and in that component we are going to have a rigid body 2D. So rigid body 2D, then this parentheses .velocity, and this is going to be equal by vector 2.0. So what does this line of code do? Actually, this line of code simply stops all of our obstacles here, because our obstacles moving in the left side, as I said previously, as we created in our start method. In this case, when we died, we want to stop all of our obstacles, and we choose here all of our obstacles rigid body .velocity and store that in the vector 2.0, which simply is the shorthand for writing vector 2 and then 0, 0. Actually, we stops all of our obstacles in this case. And then we are going to create a new method here, which is going to be bg motion. So I will simply pass here bg like this motion, and in this method we will have one argument. So we'll have one float argument. So I'll pass here speed with the lowercase, of course, on the beginning. So this is going to be argument of this method, and in this method we are going to manipulate with our body1 and body2 movement. So we're simply going to pass here my body and then dot velocity. This is going to be stored in the new vector 2, so new vector 2, and then in the parentheses we are going to pass here a speed, but this time speed from these arguments. So with the lowercase on the beginning, don't pass here speed from the variables and you will mess up everything in that case, but in this case we pass the speed from the arguments, of course. So this is for the x-axis, but for the y-axis it is going to be 0, and the same way for our my body 2. So my body dot velocity is equal to new vector 2, where is the vector 2, and then again speed from the arguments, not from the variables, and for the y-axis it's going to be 0. So what does this mean? So we at this bg motion can now manipulate with this myBody.velocity1 and myBody.velocity2. So whenever we change here a variable from this for this speed, we can manipulate with these two bodies velocities. Okay, now we're going to actually call this bg motion in this for loop in the game over function. So now we are going to also bring the argument or pass the argument that is going to be 0. Actually, in the case we die, we stop every obstacles that we have there, we freeze that obstacles, and also we stop our backgrounds, because we as I said, we can manipulate with our backgrounds via this function right here, because we use the velocity of our first background and our second background. And when we pass here 0 for the arguments, and this arguments is connected with these speeds here in the velocities, we also here stops our background via this function. And yeah, you see here in this example the beauty of programming. So everything is connected with one another, and with these tools we can program our games. Okay, now we are moving on. Now we are going to create last function in this script, and this is going to be a pause button function. So we are simply going to pass here public void and then pause, simply pause button. And yeah, of course I made some mistakes here, so it is usual thing for me that I made a mistake in the spelling. And then we are going to open if statement, and in that if statement we are going to add exclamation mark and then pause variable, that is our boolean variable from the variables. If this is not true, actually if our pause is not true, we are going to pass that time scale is 0. So no just the time, but time scale, man. Yeah, there's our time scale, it is now 0, and this is simply, I think, stop our game. Yeah, this time the time scale will simply stop our game, and then we are going to pass here that our pause is back to true, because we currently stopped our game. We are going to bring this back, because now we can again click this pause button, and for that we need to bring this back to the true. Then we are going to copy and paste this, and in the now not in the if but in the else if statement we are going to again pass here, but this time without exclamation mark. There will be simply, if this pause is true, we are going to bring that back to the 1, because in this case now we are continue with our game. And I will explain this one more time. We are going to change here also this pause variable to the false. Actually what we did here, so if we click the pause button, and if this variable is not true, so we put it here, this pause variable, that it is not true by default. And when we click the pause button, and if this variable is not true, like it is not on the default, we are going to stop our game, because we put our time scale to the 0. And then we are going to pass that we want to again this pause be true, because now we can again click this pause button, and now again if we click our pause button, we are going to bring that back time scale to the 1, because now we are continuing with our game. Now everything will work, because this time scale is put it to 1 instead of 0. 0 stops everything in the game. 1 actually play everything. Now everything can move when this time scale is 1. Everything will be back in the functional state, if I can say like that. And then passing on the end that this pause is back to false, because now we are continuing with our game. We are not anymore in this pause state, and for that we bring that back to the false. And that is that for our gameplay controller guys script. Now we are going to save this. I think everything is here prepared, but actually I also forgot here, instead, or actually below this bg length line of code, we need to pass, or actually above, we need to pass bg motion. So bg motion function that we have created for the manipulating with the velocity of our bgs, of our two bgs. So in this function we are going to pass our speed, but now this time speed from the variables with the capital S. So when we point with this, we see that this is the speed variable that have actually -3 f the default value, and this is going to be the speed of our bgs in the beginning. So that is that guys. I will save this and go back to the Unity, and now we'll take our gameplay controller game object and of course attach this gameplay controller script on this game object. And this script now can work because it is attached on some of our game objects, and we see that there are plenty of variables that we need to attach. So first bg is actually this bg, so this is the bg and ground, so this is that variable. So we are going back here in the gameplay controller, and we are going to drag this into this bg1 slot, and we are going here and copy and paste one more time, just one more time, this bg and ground. I will move here, just right here, I will move this second bg and ground, and then this is going to be the second variable right here for the bg2. So this is bg and ground in the parentheses 1, this is the second bg. Our obstacle is actually the obstacle from the prefab. So when we go here in the prefabs, this is our obstacle. So I will one more time go in the gameplay controller, drag and drop our obstacle, and also this is very fine and attached, and our speed is actually given by this variable value yet in the Visual Studio, and also this number of obstacle is also given in the Visual Studio by 5, you see here. And now where everything is attached and where everything is ready, we can now easily test this out. So I will go here and play our game, and now when I go here in the scenes, we see that this obstacle is being spawned here. And you see guys how awesome this is. Second obstacle is also being spawned, third obstacle, and that is that. But if you can notice here, our background is actually updating, because we made that in the update method. If you remember, we made that we want to update our background because we are not going to make a following camera for this behavior, for this game, excuse me, and for that we updating our two backgrounds and spawn these obstacles, and our code works guys. So everything works that we coded here in the Visual Studio. And I'm satisfied with this. So now we need to program our player. So I will go here in the scripts and open our character controller, because we'll make now the behaviors for our player, for our moving our player, jumping, running, so on and so forth. And for that we are going here in the character controller, and we are good to go. And now in this character controller script we will have a bunch of variables, and this is our variables. So actually we have there first of all public variables. So we have there a public sprite run sprite variable. So this is actually the array variable of our running sprites. So as you see on the preview of this game, we are going to create actually an animation of the sprite. So we are not going to create a regular animation for our player. We are going to have a lot of sprites for our running, and that sprites we store in these run sprites variables right here. So a lot of sprite variables for our running will make that our player can run actually. So this is going to actually appear like running. So you will see that later when we test this out, these behaviors. And the same way for our jump sprites, we will also import it here, our jump sprites in our project, and we will create a jump animation of these jump sprites. Public text score. So if you cannot access this text as a data type, then you need to go here in the usings and type unityengine.ui in order to import that UI library. And then you can use this public text, or actually text as a data type and create this text score variable like I do here. So this is going to be the text, the score text in our Unity editor. Second text will be text for our high score, and then we are going to create a public 3 audio clips that we imported also in our project. So you imported a jump sound, impact sound, and score sound, and I explain for what we are going to use this sound, but name says a lot. And then we are going to create a sprite renderer. So this is simply a renderer of our character. Then we are going to create rigid body 2D. So this is the rigid body, of course, of our player, and then instance of our gameplay controller, because some functions from the gameplay controller script we are going to also use in this character controller script. Audio source, this is going to be the audio source for our sounds that we have imported. And then we created here a boolean jump variable, which is by default true, static boolean variable game over, which is by default false, because we are not die on the beginning, we are not dead on the beginning. We are going to put that to the false. Running time float private variable, it is put it to be 0 by default. Run animation, that is also put it to be 0. Score integer variable is also put it to 0. High score is put it to 0, and question counter is put it to 0. So bunch of these last variable is put it to be 0 by default. And now I present every variable to you. Now we can go here in the start method and use our renderer that we have created right above, and then get component. And in these angular brackets we are going to pass sprite renderer, simply sprite renderer, and then parentheses semicolon. We are done for that. So now in the start method you can imagine and suppose we are initialize our variables that we have there. So now my body, it is going to be stored. So where is, yeah, there's my body. So I made, of course, a mistake. My body dot get component and rigid body in the parentheses, so rigid body 2D. And then third variable will be actually the gameplay controller. This is the instance of our gameplay controller script. So game object, and then we are going to find the tag. So game object, and then find game object with the tag. So don't pass here, for example, objects. We also have there excuse me, find game objects with the tag. So we have also this in the plural, but you need to pass a singular because we're finding just a one game object. So find game object with the tag, and then we are going to pass here a tag that we have provided for our gameplay controller game object, and that is simply gameplay controller, simply pass like that. So gameplay controller, and then dot get component. In these angular brackets we are going to pass our gameplay controller script in order to we can now manipulate with this gameplay controller variable like we manipulate for this script here. Okay, now we are going to set up our high score. So we are going to use our player prefs functions, and then we are going to pass here get integer, because our high score will be count as an integer. And in this function we are going as a string key to pass by hard coding our high score. So we are simply going to pass here high score like this, and we are done with our getting the integer. Now we are going to again use our player prefs functions and again use our get integer, but this time we are going as a string key we are going to pass our question counter. So question counter, and if you remember, this is actually the variable from our gameplay controller. When we go here, this is that. So where is that variable? And actually guys, this is the variable from our variables here. So this is this variable, and of course we need to pass here a lowercase q, because we need to pass there by hard coding exactly like we pass here in the variables. So this is that variable question counter. And then guys, we are going to use our text for our high score. So yeah, where is the text for our high score? Yeah, this is that variable text high score dot text. This is going to be equal to, by hard coding again we are going to pass here high score, and then we are going to again pass here a space, and then we are going to pass a plus. And we are going to increase all of this with our player prefs. So we are going to again use our player prefs dot get integer, and in the parentheses we are going to pass our high score. So this is our high score simply. So high score, and then we are going to end up this parentheses dot to string in order to all of this can be visible in the Unity editor in the screen, and for that we store that to the string. Then we are going to use take our reference from sounds variable, so simply pass here sound.get component and then audio source. So where is the audio source? Yeah, there is our audio source, simple as that. We are taking the reference in our sounds variable, and then last line of code in this method will be game over, that is going to be put to false. And now we are going here in the update method. So in the update method we are going to check actually in the if statement if we jump. So actually if this variable is true, so there is a jump. If this variable is true, we are going to pass that when we click left mouse button, we are going to jump with our player. So simply we are going to open one new if statement and then check if we click, so input.get mouse button down in the parentheses 0, that means if we click left mouse button, if we pass here for example 1, that will mean that we want to click the right mouse button. So 0 is for left mouse button and 1 is for right mouse button. So if we click left mouse button, we are going to add a force to our player. So we will simply use our my body adding a force, and you can imagine we are not going to add a force on the x-axis, we are going to simply add a force on the y-axis because we are jumping in that case when we click left mouse button. So we are simply going to pass here 415, and this is going to be forces for this our player. And actually I forgot here to pass new vector 2 for this, so new vector 2 and then store these two variable values here. Okay, also one new thing that we want when we jump is that we want to play our jump sound. So we're simply going to pass here sound.clip. So sound.clip, it is equal to jump sound. So no, just a jump, but this is going to be jump sound, and then sound.play in order to call this sound clip. So in order to call this jump sound clip, we need to pass here sound.play. And then guys, we are going to pass that now our jump is back to false, because on the end we are going to bring that back to the false because we once jumped. And then guys, we are going to open a new function here, and that function will be running animation. So we'll simply pass here running anim and then parentheses and then curly brackets, and in this running animation you can suppose we are going to set up our animation of our character that running. Yeah. Okay, in this animation we are going to first of all pass our running time animation that will be increased with the time.delta time. In order to make this variable smoother, we are going to increase that with the time.delta time, and then we are going to check if we jumped, actually if we are in the air. So if we jump, we are going to pass here renderer dot sprite. So dot sprite, and this is going to be stored to the run sprites. So where, yeah, there is a run sprites, that is actually the array variable, and then we are going to pass here run anim variable and increase that by 1. So no by curly brackets but by 1 with these plus signs, and we are also done with that. So moving on, we are going to open new if statement, but in this first if statement, so don't go out of this jump if statement, and then check if our run animation is equal to 18, because we'll have 80 sprites for this run animation. If this is equal, we are going to bring that back to the 0 because we are going to start from the beginning. Yeah, that is that for our running animation. And in the else statement, we are going to pass here also an else statement. So that means if we are not to jump, because first of all we pass if we jumped, we are going to if we jumped yet, we are going to execute this piece of code because now we are running. So actually if we are in the jumping currently, so if we are in the air, we are going to call our jumping sprites. So we are simply going to pass here in the if statement, again we are going to check if my body dot velocity dot y. So if this velocity on the y-axis is greater than 0, as I said, meaning if we are in the air, if we are currently jumping, if we are currently in the air, we are simply going to take our renderer dot sprite and then store that to our actually jump sprites. So simply jump sprites, that is also array variable, and in that jump sprites we are going to pass 0 as an index, and then on the actually else for this my body dot velocity, statement, we are going to add the else for that if statement. So else statement, we are going to pass here again renderer.sprite that is going to be equal to our jump sprites, so jump sprites, but this time in the index will be 1, or actually first sprite. So what we did here, first of all, we increase this running time with this time.delta time. Then we are checking here if we are on the ground. So this if jump means if we are jumped, then we are on the ground, and if we are on the ground, we are going to execute this piece of code, which is the running animation. Then we check in the else statement if we are in the air. So if we are in the air, we're checking here actually if our velocity.y is greater than 0, meaning if we are in the air, we are going to take our sprite renderer and store that in the jump sprites, because now we are in jump mode. And then if this is not true, if for example our velocity is not greater than 0, then we are landing. So now we are landing down to the bottom, to the ground, and then we are playing this jump sprite first index, that is first sprite, and that's actually sprite for our landing. So now going down. Okay, that is that for our running animation, and we are going here below this if statement, but we are still here in the update method. So below there we are going to pass if our game is not yet finished. So we'll pass here if game over with this exclamation mark is not yet finished. We are then going to pass this running animation. So yeah, where is the running animation method? And we are going to pass that because our game is not finished yet, and we are going to move our player, to move our animations, jumping animation, running animation, and so on and so forth. So that is for our running player. And then guys, we are going to open a method for our detecting collisions. So we are going simply to pass here void on collision enter 2D. So on collision enter 2D, and in this method we are going to first of all check if r, and in the parentheses we are going to pass if r collision, so collision dot game object dot tag, so no comma but simply dot tag, is equal to, and then we are going to by hard coding pass here score bar. So I will later on explain what does this mean, so don't worry about that. If this is true, we are going to increase our score by 1, so simply score by 1, and then we are going to use our text score. So where is our text score? Yeah, this is our text from the variables, and then we are going to pass then dot text, and this is going to be equal to, by hard coding again, we are going to pass our score, and yeah, equal, there will be actually, so score is equal, and then we are going to pass our score integer that will count how many time we touch this score bar. Okay, then we are going to use our clip for our score, so actually our sound clip, excuse me, for our scoring. So we are simply going to pass here sound clip, so sound.clip, excuse me, so sound.clip, this is going to be equal to score sound script that we imported in the beginning of this tutorial and in our project. And then as previous example, we are going to pass that we want to play our sound, so simply pass here play. And then actually our time in the game will be increased in the speed, because if you remember for the preview of the game, we passed that we want to, that the main part actually here in the gameplay is that we with our player getting faster and faster as long as we play our game. So as long as we play our game, our game in general gets faster and faster, and for that we are going to now pass that behavior. So we're going to use our time.timescale one more time, so timescale, and then this is going to be equal to, or actually this is going to be increased, so plus equals by 0.3 every frame. So whenever we touch guys, so there is actually an F, so whenever we touch guys our score bar, and you will see later what is the score bar, we are going to increase our score by 1. We are going to transfer that to our Unity editor in order to this can be visible in the screen, so passing here score plus score integer. We are going to play our score sound clip, and then we are going to make that, in that case our game will be faster by this 0.3 F. Yeah, that is that if we touch our score bar. But now we are going to pass and check in our if statement if our collision, so collision dot no dot tag, so there will be game object dot tag is equal to, but this time there will be a obstacle. So now when our player touch our obstacle, what will happen? We are going to pass that time scale. First of all, it is going to be 1, because we cannot move in that case. If we pass here time scale is equal to 1f, that means we cannot move, everything cannot work, everything stops, and that is that. But in the gameplay controller I wrong explained, guys, and I apologize for that to you. I explained here that actually if this is put it to the 0, we cannot move, but this is the opposite. If this is put it to the 0, this time scale, we actually can move, we actually everything can work. But this is the opposite. This one actually stops everything, cannot move our character, everything cannot move, and everything stops in this case. But if this time scale is on the 0, everything can work, everything will proceed in the right direction. And that I wrong explained to you guys previously when I coded this gameplay controller script. I got confused, excuse me guys for that, I apologize. So now I think everything is clear. When this time scale is to 1, everything can work. So then we are going to also play our sound clip, so sound.clip is equal to, and then we are going to pass here impact sound, so impact sound, and then we are going to use again our sound.play in order to play that audio clip. So this is going to be for our audios, and then game over is equal to true, because when we kick one of our obstacle with our player, we are died, and game over it is going to be true. Then gameplay controller dot game over, we are going to, so no game object man, we are going to call our game over, and we do not have that function because we didn't make that function as a public. So when we go here, we need to pass here public in order to we can access and transfer this game over into some other script. So when we go now here in the character controller and use here dot game over, now we have this function because now it is public. So game over, it is going to be called because we kick one of our obstacles, and then we are going to again set up our high score. So we'll use here a high score, and this is going to be stored to our player prefs again. So player prefs, and then will be get integer, and then there will be actually by hard coding high score. So where is the high score? There is our high score. So end up this with a semicolon, and now we are going to open if statement, and in that if statement we are going to check if our score is greater than high score. So actually there we created and programmed the main part of our high score. If we, for example, with our score go out of the current high score, we are going to update our high score because we have a new record, we have a new high score. So then we are going to pass that our high score is equal to score because we have a new record, and then player prefs, so player prefs, it is going to be, but now this time set integer. So instead of get integer, we are going to set our integer by string key, which is going to be question counter by hard coding. So question counter, there will be, so actually there is a lowercase q because we pass that variable like a lowercase on the beginning, and then second parameter is actually the integer value, which is going to be simply our high score that we have created. Then we are going to increase our question counter by 1 because we kick one of our obstacles. We are going now to prepare our quiz scene. Yeah, quiz scene, and I will explain that later. So then we are going to again use our question counter, and then this is going to be plus equal to, so then player prefs, and then there will be getting integer one more time, and we are going to pass here question counter by hard coding because we are again getting that integer. This is going to be stored in our high score, and then we are going to again use, believe me or not, this player prefs, and then setting that integer to the string key, that is our again our question counter. So question counter, and then as an integer value we are instead of high score we are going to pass here question counter variable. So guys, because now this question counter is increased, now this is our new record, and then we are going to get that integer, we are going to set that integer. And guys, this is so far good. Okay, so that will happen if this question counter is increased, we are not anymore in this new record state. We are then going to back to these question counters, and then we are going to open a new if statement. So in this if statement, we are going to check if our question counter is 2. So actually, if we play our game 2 times, we are going to invoke one function. So we are simply going to pass here invoke, and then we are going to call our quiz scene caller. So actually we are transferring ourselves to the quiz scene. So we'll simply pass here by hard coding quiz scene. So quiz scene method, and then comma, this is going to be 2 for the second parameter, or actually we'll call this quiz scene function after 2 seconds if this is true. And then we are one more time going to use this player prefs.setting integer. So this is going to be again question counter by hard coding here, and then as a second parameter it will be 0. So this is for if this question counter is 2. And then if we are else, so actually we'll pass here else. So now if we are else, like I said, there is a simply else statement. In the else statement, if our question counter is not 2, it is 1, we are going to call our main menu caller. So we'll simply pass here invoke, and then we are going to call our main menu function that we will create later on. So we will create that later on. After 2 seconds, we will call that function if this is not true. And this is, guys, so far good. So now we are going to create these two functions, this quiz scene and main menu scene. So now we are going, we are going to out of our on collision enter function. So there will be actually main menu. So simply main menu will be the name of this function, and then as you know we are going to pass here, but we don't create a library for our transferring our scenes. So we are simply going here in the usings and then unity engine.scene management, like we passed this in our main menu controller, if you remember. So in this case we will also have there this library in order that we can transfer ourselves to the other scene. So scene manager.load scene, and then in the parentheses we are going to pass here main menu, because this is the name of our scene. So this is the name of our scene, and this function can transfer now ourselves into that scene. Then second function, so I will simply go here and copy and paste this function. Second function will be our quiz scene. So this is going to be quiz scene color, and load scene, we are going now in our quiz scene. So this is the scene that we are going to create it later on. This is going to be short scene to create. And that is that, guys. So now we called here our main menu. If this is not true, if this question counter is not true, we are going to the main menu. If this is true, we are going in the quiz scene. And that is that, guys. We created everything. So last piece of code that we need to create and last function is again our on collision enter. That is the collision, that is actually the method for the detecting the collision. So on collision, where is the enter, man? So there is on collision and then enter, and then 2D. I don't know why autocomplete didn't give me this function, but there is an on collision enter, because and I think this is the problem, because we already have one on collision enter, and that is because we made a mistake here. So we pass here on collision enter, but there is actually on trigger enter 2D. So guys, I made a mistake here. So there is on trigger and then enter 2D, and then there is an on collision. So where is the on collision enter 2D? So I will one more time delete this and create here on collision and then enter 2D, but there is actually an enter 2D. So when we go here, I will actually delete this and then create on trigger. So on trigger enter 2D. I don't know why this doesn't give me autocomplete, man. But anyway, I manually transfer this or rename this scene to, or rename this function to the on trigger enter 2D. And then in on collision enter 2D, we are simply going to pass that this jump is true. So this is one single line of code here in this function, in this last function, and we are done with our character controller. So actually in this function, if our character go in the collision with the ground, we are going to pass that our jump is one more time true, and we can again jump, because now we are on the ground. We can just jump in the case we are in the ground, not we are in the air and we can again jump. So we are not going to create that effect, we are jumping just when we are on the ground. Saving these guys and going back to the Unity editor. Like for our gameplay script, we are going to take our jumper main and attach our script that we have just coded, and that is our character pretty script character controller, and we see how much we have there are variables that we need to fill up. So first of all, it is the run sprites, and when we go in this run sprites array, we need to pass here as a size that we will have 80 sprites. So 18 sprites we will have in this array. So this is going to be the run animation of these sprites, as I explained to you on the beginning of this coding. And yeah, now we need to attach every element on these 18 sprites. So when we go here, and then when we go, yeah, so first sprite in this array will be this 2x and then 0. So this is actually a running animation, and we are going to avoid these two sprites. This is 2 sprites for the jumping, so avoid these 2 in the diagonal. So this is the jumping sprites. We are actually now setting up our running animation. We are not going to pass any jumping sprite. For the element 1, it will be 1. So when we go here, yeah, there is a 1, and then we are going to pass that element. For the 3 element, we are or actually, yeah, there is a 2. So third element, because first one was the 0, man. So third element will be this second here, I think, yeah, second here. And for the element 3, it will be third sprite right here that we have imported. I know that this is a little bit boring to watch, but I need to show you actually which actually sprite I import here in this sprites folder. But this is very easy, but anyway, I need to show to you in order to you cannot get confused with this attaching these sprites. So this is for the 6th element, so now it is for the 7th element. Yeah, I know that this is a little bit boring, but we need to attach every sprite on this appropriate slot. Where is the 9 one? There is a 9 one. For the 10 one, we need to pass this 2x and then 10. So you see that slow but surely we creating an animation of this sprite. So as you know, we are going to play this animation in very fast time. So play this, actually we are going to change this sprite in very fast time, and of this changing we are creating that animation. So you saw from the preview of the game. Now when we go in this 12th one, as I said, you know from the preview of the game how smooth that kind of animation was. So you saw that, and I'm satisfied with this kind of creating animation. I didn't know for that a long time, but when I meet this project, actually in that case I know. So last 3 sprites will be these 15. So where is the 15? Yeah, this is the last 3 sprites for our running animation. Going back to then 16 one and 17 one. And yeah, that is for our running animation, guys. We imported, or actually we attach these running sprites on every these element. Okay, now for the jump sprites, we will have just 2 sprites for this jumping animation. So when we go in the element 0, first one will be this one, so 2x and then 0, and then for the element 1, it will be 2x and the 1, and this with the hands up. This is going to be our jumping when this is going to be actually the sprite when we landing, and I explained that behavior from the Visual Studio. And then text score will be our score from the canvas. So there is our gameplay canvas. So this is going to be, yeah, this is that text. So I just make sure that this is that text, and then we are going to drag that text into our empty slot right here. So this is text score. Text for the high score will be this high score text, of course, right here. Jump sound we need to import from our sounds folder that we imported on the beginning. So yeah, this is actually the audio folder, excuse me. So jumper main, and then going back here, jump sound will be this one right here. Jump audio, impact audio will be for this one slot right here on the middle, and last ones it is score sound. Okay guys, now we attach every variable, and you see how much variables we had in this character controller script. Anyway, we imported everything, we fill up every empty space here. Now we are finally ready to also test this out. So now going back here and play our game. So now guys, you see actually that our player walking here or running here, and we play that animation. When we click left mouse button, we jump, guys, and this is very cool, guys. We cannot test this pause button because we didn't concatenate this with the Unity editor button here, and I will do that in a second, but for now we see that actually our running animation works here. Everything works. We even count here a score, so also our score system works here. So when we kick one of our obstacles here, so yeah, we didn't detect the collision because we have there a couple of errors. So you'll see what is the errors in our game so far. So you see that gameplay controller is not defined. So when I go here and see this, and actually yeah, we're finding this with the tag, but we didn't tag our gameplay controller game object with this gameplay controller tag. So when we go here, we need to click here on the gameplay controller and create that gameplay controller tag for this. So we'll simply go here, pass gameplay controller, so gameplay controller, and then going back here in the gameplay controller and tag our gameplay controller with this tag that we have just created. And now Visual Studio can recognize our gameplay controller with this tag right here. Okay, that was the first error. Now we have also a null reference exception, that is for our sound clip jump sound. I don't know why we get this, but when we go here, and yeah, that is because we didn't. So when we go in the jumper man, we actually disable this audio source. We get this error because of disabled audio source. In order to we can play the several audio clips, we need to have audio source attached on that game object, and for that we get this. But we now fix also this, and then third error was this third error. So the same thing, just for our score of the sound of our scoring, and then last one is yeah for our impact sound. So actually we fix every error that we had here. So I will one more time save all of this, go back to our Unity, and now guys I will again go here and play our game. Now we are moving again with our player, we can jump, and you see now we are playing our jumping animation. So we are playing that, guys, and how awesome these animations for our running and jumping is. So everything is so far good, and also we play our score sound effect. So when we touch our score bar, we play our score sound effect. I know that this is probably too loud for you because I forgot here to go and then to pass that we want to volume be on the very small value in order to I cannot break your ears here. So I am apologizing, guys, because this probably was too loud for you. Excuse me, I made a mistake, and we are moving on with our game. So now the last mission and task in this game is to create a quiz scene. So this scene is so far good, everything works, but I'm not sure actually that this collision between our obstacle and our player was correct, but we will fix that later. So when I go here in the project, in the scenes, we are going to create a new scene. So going here and create a new scene, which is going to be quiz scene. So when I go here and pass actually a quiz scene, so I always struggling with this naming and variables and this so on and so forth. So always struggling with this spelling in the when I work here in the PC. But anyway, now when we go in the quiz scene, we need to develop also this last scene in this game. So when I go here in the prefabs, now we will search for our quiz canvas, and I think this is the only game object that we'll have here in this scene. So now going here in our quiz canvas, and when we pass here screen space camera, we also need, like for our two rest scenes, to have the space to have actually the canvas on the area of our main camera, and that is our canvas. So when we go in our quiz canvas, we see that we have one simple text, and that's our mathematical task here. So we have just this one task, but you can add here as much as you want tasks, mathematical tasks. But anyway, this is just the one art tags that we have imported along with this project. And then we have these three buttons, and this is our three answers. So we have there our first answer that is incorrect, and then we have second answer which is actually correct, and last one answer is also wrong. Okay, that's our three buttons right here that we can click at any time when we are in this scene, and this is that scene. So now last game object, or actually one another game object that we have in this scene, is actually our quiz scene controller. So we'll pass here quiz scene. So QuizScene controller resetting the transform, and now we are going to, like for our gameplay controller, like for our gameplay script and our main menu script, we are going to also have the script for our quiz controller. So we'll simply go here in the scripts and create that script, which is going to be simply named quiz controller, and of course open it up in Visual Studio. And now we are not going to have any variables in this script. Believe me or not, we will have just the two methods. So we delete the start and update methods, and second, so new methods that we are going to create actually here is first of all public void and then second answer. So this is going to be the method. When we click our second answer, this will be executed, and then we are going to copy and paste this and just for our third answer. So actually we'll pass here third answer, and this is going to be our two methods. So then we are going to pass here void, so one private method. This is going to be actually the gameplay color, so we'll simply pass here gameplay scene like this. So you can pass here, for example, gameplay scene, and this is going to simply transfer us to our gameplay scene if we pass a correct answer. So when we go here in the usings, we are going to again use our scene management function, because via this function we can transfer us to the next scene, some other scenes, and use of course that in our gameplay scene. So scene manager.load scene, and then gameplay scene by hard coding like this, and then we are going to copy and paste this one more time and pass that same, just when we pass the wrong answer, when we click the wrong answer, we are going in the main menu scene, and we'll simply pass here main menu scene like this. And then with invoke method we are going to call this function. So when we pass a second answer and that is the correct answer, we are going in the gameplay scene. So we're simply going to pass here. So yeah, my Windows license will expire soon, I know that, and I will never activate my Windows. Okay, moving on. So gameplay scene, I will going to copy and paste this in this hard coding, because we need to pass here exactly like we pass in this naming this function. And then after how much time we want to call this gameplay scene, we want to call this gameplay scene after 1 second, and that our invokes function do here. So we are going to copy and paste this, and then we are going to call our main menu scene. So we are simply going to pass here main menu scene, and then also this one we are going to call after 1 second. So that is, guys, so far good. We are going to save this and go back to the Unity, and then like always we're going here in the quiz scene controller that we have created just for holding our quiz controller scripts, and then attach that script on that controller, and we are also done with this script, guys. So now we can easily save this, and then we can go now back to our gameplay. So I will go here in the gameplay, and then as a final testing we are going to play our game. But before that we forgot also to import our quiz scene in this build settings. So when we go here in the scenes, and when we drag and drop that scene, we imported also these quiz scenes in the scenes in build in order to we can go in that scene. So I mentioned to you on the beginning of this tutorial that we cannot go in the scenes which are not imported here in the build settings, and we import every scene that we have in our project, and we can now go one between other in these scenes, and so on and so forth. Okay guys, now for the final testing, play this out. Everything so far works, guys. Now we are going to test first of all our collision between our player and this obstacle, and we make that collision. We died actually, guys, and we are going to main menu scene directly, so everything works. And then we are going to one more time play this game. So now we are going to one more time play this game, but you also know that I forgot to concatenate this pause button with the function. So now let's just see does this high score works. When we go back, we see that we actually do not have any high score here. So when I go here, and then yeah, we forgot in the main menu scene to set up our high score. So guys, when we go now here in the scripts and then in the main menu, and actually we do not forget that, but I actually left this as a end behavior, so as a finishing behavior. So now when I go here down below of our play button, we are going to make here a public void and then reset button. So this is going to be the button, so this is going to be the function when we click our reset button. And when we click our reset button, we are going to use our player prefs and then setting integer, and then as a string key we are going to pass our high score simply. So we are going to pass here high score, and then for the key value, or actually for the float value, excuse me, there will be a 0 of course. And then we are going to copy and paste this line of code. So there, instead of setting integer, so there is no setting float, there is setting integer. There will be again set integer. So I actually thought that there will be a getting integer, but there is also setting integer, but this time instead of high score we are going to pass here a question. So question counter for our setting integer for the second time, and then we are going to transfer that to our Unity editor, to the graphical interface, in order to we can see that high score. So we are going to use our text. So where is our text high score actually? So we do not have that variable. We need to go here in the variables and then create public text. So public text, and because we cannot import this text as a data type, we need to go here in the usings and then Unity Engine dot UI. And now we can use these UI elements as a data types, and we can use our text as a data type. So there will be actually our text for the high score. So text high score will pass like that. And then second, or actually we do not have any variables more here. So we are going back here in our where we stopped here in the reset button function, and then we are going to use our text high score dot text. This is going to be equal to the high score. So high score by hard coding, it is going to be equal, and this is going to be increased with this player press. So I will try to copy and paste this. So player press, and then there will be actually a getting integer, so no setting, but getting integer, and in this parentheses there will be actually a high score. And then we do not have any second parameter, but on the end we have a toString, because as I said, this line of code will simply make that we need to actually transfer this high score as an integer to the graphical user interface in order to we can see that high score on the screen. And yeah, that is that, guys. So now we are going to delete this equal sign because this gives us an error. I made a mistake here. And then last method here in this script will be actually a start method. So there will be actually a start method. And in this method we are going to pass our integer high score variable. So this is going to be high score, simply like this. And this is, again, I'm going to repeat or actually paste this function here, but there will be a getting integer. So there will be get integer. And then there will be again high score without second parameter right here. So there will be that, and then we are going to again pass here text high score. So text high score dot text, it is going to be equal by hard coding high score, and this is going to be equal to, so actually we'll pass equal sign, and then we are going to increase that with our high score that we have just created. And this is in our start method in the beginning of the main menu scene. So make sure that this is going to happen on the beginning of the main menu scene when we play that scene. Then this will happen when we click reset button, and this will happen when we click play button, of course. So guys, saving all of this and go back to the Unity. And then once we are done with our scripts, we are going here in the scenes one more time, and then in the main menu scene, because we attach this actually main menu controller in the main menu scene, of course, and for that we need to fill up this text high score variable. So this is actually the text high score from our menu canvas here, and we are going to actually attach this on our main menu and play our game. I think for the final time here, we now see here our high score, and when we go here and play our game, we are transferred directly into our gameplay scene. So guys, this is our scene. Now I will simply reach first of all one score here, and then I will kick one of our obstacles. And then guys, yeah, we are transferred here in the quiz scene because our question counter gets the 2 number, and then we can actually pass here number that we need to pass here. I will pass a correct number here, and we see that also this quiz scene buttons doesn't work. Why doesn't work? We need to fix that. We are going here in the quiz scene, saving this main menu, Actually, I think that this doesn't work because also in this scene we doesn't have a event system. So I will go here in the UI and going here and create one event system for our canvas here. And now I think everything will work. So now when I go here, and actually we didn't concatenate our button with the functions from the quiz scene. So actually guys, we need to pass here for the button 1 that is incorrect button, that is incorrect answer. We are going to pass here quiz controller, and this is going to be third answer because also third answer is incorrect. But for second answer we are going to pass again this quiz scene, and then where it says no function quiz controller, and we are going to pass here second answer because it's the correct answer. And for the button 3 we are going to pass again quiz scene controller with that, and then there will actually be a third answer because it's also an incorrect. And we pass, if you are confused why we pass here for the first button third answer, it doesn't matter, first and third answer are both incorrect, and for that it doesn't matter why we put here third answer because this answer is incorrect like our third answer, and for that we put that into our first answer, but just the second answer is correct. Okay guys, now I hope everything will work, but I think when I go here and play our game, just to see when I go here, and yeah, our buttons works, and we can again test this out. So I will one more time go here in our main menu, saving of course this scene, and test this out. So now when I go here and play our game, now I will deliberately die after scoring 1 on the score system right here. So when I go here, and then I will deliberately die, and yeah, now guys, we are transferred here in the quiz scene. When we pass here second answer, we pass correct answer, and we are bringing back in directly in the gameplay scene. If you for example pass there incorrect answer, we will be bring back in the main menu scene, and you can also test that out, and you will see that this also works. So I will one more time die here. And we also need to fix this high score in order to have there a high score that is actually on the 8, because we now score a 8. And now guys, I probably know where was the problem. So when we go back to our Visual Studio, and there is the problem. So when we go here in the character controller, yeah, that is that script, and we see that we actually begin this high score variable with this lowercase h. And we didn't pass this variable like we pass here in the variables, like we pass here like original high score. We pass the high score, and you see with the capital H. And for that we need to change that everywhere where we pass our high score with the capital H, we need to pass a lowercase h in order to this can work, and in order to this hard coding can recognize this variable right here, integer variable high score. So just change that. So where is the where is the getting and setting integer, we need to pass a lowercase high score. So when we go now back here below here in the on trigger, yeah, there is also our getting integer high score. There we need to change this high score on the lowercase h, and also here instead of setting integer question counter, we need to pass also here high score, of course with lowercase, in order, yeah, I made a mistake actually here, but this lowercase was also the first mistake for our high score, and this second mistake here, I pass here question counter instead of high score, and that was a mistake. So actually we are humans, we made mistakes daily, and for that, don't get me wrong, don't judge me. This was my mistake, and I actually fixed that. So fix that for you, and you need also to fix that out. And also there is a lowercase h. Yeah, also there is a lowercase h in the main menu controller script, and there is also a lowercase. And yeah, I think now we change everything in right order. Now I hope we fix the problem in general. Now I saved all of this, and I will go back to the Unity. And now I will take our reset button. So where is the reset? Yeah, there is our reset button, and actually we need to drag and drop our main menu controller game object that hold our main menu controller script, and pass here reset button that we have just coded. And when we, for example, click on this reset button, this simply will reset our high score, and you will see that later on. So now I will one more time play this game. And now when I go here and play our game, now we are in the gameplay. So now I will guys try to to reach some score here. So for example, my score will be 2, and now I will deliberately die, of course. And then when we are go in the main menu scene, we see now that our high score is 2. Now our high score works. When we click reset button, also our reset button works. He reset our high score. And everything works, guys. I am satisfied with this game. So last thing that we need to do in this game definitely is going here in the gameplay scenes. So when we go here in the scenes and to the gameplay, we are going to save our main menu scene. We are going simply to pass that this pause button. So when we go here in the gameplay and take our pause button, we are going to give the functionality to this button by dragging this gameplay controller game object that hold our controller script and pass here pause button. And we can also test this out for the last time, and our button actually won't probably work because the same error that we had in the quiz and in the main menu scene, and that is we didn't along with this canvas import our event system. So I will go here in the UI, create one more event system, but this time event system for our gameplay canvas. And now we are ready to also test this pause button out. So I will go here and play our game. And now, guys, when I go here and click the pause button, we see that we pause our game. When I click again this pause button, we continue our game. And that is the fact that our beautiful pause button do. And guys, I am glad that I present to you this game in this tutorial. I think you like the game, you're satisfied with all what you have learned in this game, and you can now play this game as long as you want. And that is simply our jumper main game, guys. So we updated, of course, our high score. We are going to reset this, and that was that for this tutorial, guys. I will catch you in some next tutorial.